At the time that I'm recording this video right now, it's been less than a week since Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather had their boxing match, where Floyd TKO'd Conor in the 10th round. It was a fight that a lot of people expected Conor to be embarrassed in. I personally don't think that's what happened. I think he put up a good fight. At least for the first few rounds, he was right in there with a boxer who's widely considered as one of the best ever. So I thought it would be valuable to look at Conor McGregor, his career, his mindset, and see what makes him so successful, both as a fighter and as a businessman. And one thing that I think is central to his success has to be his willingness and ability to break away from the status quo. Just completely disregard what people think is possible and what should be done, and just do things that people are too afraid or too close-minded to even attempt. That's the thing that I admire most about Conor, I think, is just his ability to completely disrupt our notions of how things should be done and what is possible. I should give some background for the people who aren't familiar with who Conor McGregor is. He's an MMA fighter. I think he first gained popularity in a European organization called Cage Warriors, where he was the 145-pound champion and then later became the 155-pound champion. From there, he got the call from UFC, which is the biggest mixed martial arts organization in the world. And in the UFC, he quickly rose up the ranks and took on one of the best ever, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, Jose Aldo, for the 145-pound UFC championship, the featherweight championship. Knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, and then not too long after that took on Eddie Alvarez, another badass fighter, for the 155-pound championship, the lightweight championship. Knocked him out and became the first fighter in UFC to hold the championship belt in two different divisions at the same time. So that's just a crazy ambitious thing to do. There's so many hurdles, mental hurdles, that you have to jump over to get to that point. The point where you believe that you can be not only a champion in the biggest mixed martial arts organization in the world, but a double champion. Conor has that ability to just tune out everybody who tells him that he can't accomplish things. There's just a common theme with him where people doubt and people try to bring him down, but he decides, no, this is something I'm gonna do. I don't care what you think, I'm gonna just go and do it. I'll figure it out. I think that's just such an admirable way to think and so valuable. And it's common for people, I think, to put these limiting beliefs on themselves and just stop themselves before they have the opportunity to see exactly what they're capable of. Conor is an example of a person who doesn't put these limits on himself, and look at what he's accomplished as a result of this. And I think there are valuable lessons to be learned from this. And it reminds me of something I heard on the Tim Ferriss podcast. I think he was talking to Joshua Waitskin, a super high-level chess player. One of them mentioned the importance of finding false constructs in the way that we think, and just looking for ways to do things differently. Just because it's always been done one way doesn't mean that's the way that we have to keep doing it. It doesn't mean that's the best way to keep doing it. And I think that's something that Conor and his team are exploiting and just attacking this idea to propel themselves to heights that no fighter has ever been to before. You see it in his training when he's working out, doing weird stuff with his movement coach, Ido Portal. You see it when he's fighting, he's doing awkward movements, just like thinking differently, showing his opponents things they're not used to, just because he's so unorthodox in his movement, in his actions, and in his thoughts. You see it in the way that he promotes himself, just a lot of trash talk, clearly drawing influence from someone like Muhammad Ali on a level that's rarely been duplicated, or maybe never been duplicated. He just figured out the game, just does things differently, and that's one of the reasons why he is where he is. If he went out there and tried to talk like everybody else or fight exactly like everyone else, and have the same expectations for himself that everybody else has, he doesn't accomplish half of what he's done so far. So don't accept the status quo. Look for ways to disrupt the status quo. Look for different ways to do things, different ways to think, different ways to act, because if we follow in the paths that everybody's done before, we can't really expect I don't think you can expect greater results. You can only expect to do around the same and probably worse than the people who've done it before, because they had different circumstances to help them that you can't replicate. But if you go off in a different direction, just go off in a different path, do your own thing, find something original, find creativity, find what path suits you best, what plays to your strengths, I think that gives us the potential to reach Conor McGregor like heights. At least the potential to do that. Not necessarily like it's a guarantee, but the potential to do it if you follow your own path and destroy these self-limiting thoughts. Just find a way.